Commander Zethkar stood on the bridge of his battlecruiser and watched the small blue planet grow larger on his screen. Earth looked peaceful from space. White clouds moved slowly over green and brown land. The ocean sparkled blue under the light of a yellow star. It looked like so many other worlds he had conquered for the galactic hegemony. "Sir, we are picking up radio signals from the planet," reported his communications officer. "The inhabitants call themselves humans. Their technology appears very basic." Zethkar nodded. This would be easy. His fleet of 12 warships had conquered over 50 worlds in the past 10 years. The humans had only recently left their home planet. Their ships were small, and their weapons looked weak. This conquest would take maybe 3 hours. "Begin the standard approach," Zethkar ordered. "Send." The surrender demand on all frequencies. The message went out in multiple languages that the hegemony computers had learned from human broadcasts. It was simple and direct. Surrender now and become part of the hegemony. Your planet will be spared. Your people will live as subjects under hegemony rule. You have 1 hour to respond. Zethkar expected the usual response. Most species begged for mercy. Some tried to negotiate. A few stayed silent and hoped the aliens would go away. But humans did something different. "Sir," the communications officer said with confusion in his voice, "they are responding on all channels." "Put it through," Zethkar said. A human voice came through the speakers. It was calm and clear. "This is Admiral Linda Carter of Earth Defense. Command, we have received your message. Our response is no. Earth will defend itself. We suggest you leave our space now, while you still can." Zethkar laughed. He had heard brave words before. They always ended the same way. Show them our firepower. Destroy one of their outer stations. His weapons officer targeted a small human. Space station orbiting the planet's moon. One shot from their plasma cannons should vaporize it completely. The beam lanced out across space and struck the station. The station exploded, but not completely. Half of it survived, spinning slowly, with atmosphere venting into space. But what shocked Zethkar was what happened next. Small human ships immediately moved to rescue survivors from the damaged station. They did not retreat. They did not panic. They just began saving their people. "Sir, human ships are approaching our position," his tactical officer reported. 57. Vessels of various sizes. Zethkar looked at the display. The human ships were tiny compared to his warships. His smallest cruiser was 5 times bigger than their largest vessel. This would be over quickly. "All ships, engage the enemy," he commanded. The battle began. Zethkar watched from his command chair as his fleet opened fire on the approaching humans. Their weapons were indeed weak. Human ships took heavy damage from the first volley. Several exploded completely, but the others kept coming. "Sir, the humans are not retreating," his tactical officer said with surprise. Zethkar frowned. By now, most species would be running away or trying to surrender. But the human ships continued their attack. Even the damaged ones kept firing. He watched one human ship that had lost half its hull. Atmosphere was streaming out of the broken sections. The ship was clearly dying, but it still fired its weapons at his cruiser, still moved to attack. "What are they doing?" Zethkar muttered. The answer came quickly. The damaged human ship suddenly accelerated directly toward his escort destroyer. The destroyer's captain tried to change course, but it was too late. The human ship struck the destroyer's side at full speed. Both ships exploded in a ball of fire and metal. "Did that human just ram our ship?" Zethkar asked in disbelief. "Yes, sir. Destroyer 7 is gone. All hands lost." Zethkar had never seen anything like it. The human had sacrificed his own life and ship to destroy an enemy vessel. It was insane. It was impossible. It was terrifying. More human ships arrived from around the planet. A human voice came over the communication channel. "This is Captain Jake Morrison commanding Terra's shield. All human vessels, engage the enemy. Show them what Earth is made of." The new human ships were slightly larger than the first group. They had better weapons and shields. But they were still no match for hegemony technology. Zethkar ships should have destroyed them easily. Instead, the battle became chaos. The humans fought like nothing Zethkar had ever seen. When their weapons stopped working, they used their ships as weapons. When their ships were damaged, they kept fighting anyway. When they were outnumbered, they attacked instead of retreating. A human pilot named Ben Hayes was flying a small fighter that had lost its left wing and most of its weapons. His ship was on fire and leaking air. Any sane being would have ejected or surrendered. Instead, Hayes flew his burning fighter straight into the engine section of Zethkar's heavy cruiser. The explosion knocked Zethkar to the floor of his bridge. Warning lights flashed everywhere. His ship shuddered and began to list to one side. "Engine room reports massive damage," his engineering officer called out. "We have lost 30% of our power. How is this possible?" Zethkar demanded. "Their weapons cannot penetrate our shields." "Sir, they are not using weapons," Tactical reported. "They are using their ships as projectiles. Our shields are designed to stop energy weapons, not physical impacts at high speed." More human ships arrived. These were commanded by people with names like Paul Davis and Lisa Kane. They brought new tactics that made no sense. They split into small groups and attacked from multiple directions. They used damaged ships to block hegemony fire while healthy. Ships moved into attack position. When a human ship named Earth's Fury lost all its weapons, its captain ordered his crew to board a hegemony cruiser. The humans cut through the hull with simple tools and fought their way inside. Sergeant Lisa Kane led the boarding party with nothing but basic weapons and determination. The hegemony crew had never fought hand-to-hand combat. Their wars were fought with ships and energy weapons from long distances. When the humans attacked them directly, they panicked and retreated. "Sir, Cruiser 4 has been captured," Tactical reported with shock. "The humans have taken control of the ship." Zethkar watched his tactical display in horror. His fleet of 12 ships was down to 8. 2 had been destroyed by ramming attacks. 1 had been captured by human boarders. 1 had retreated after taking heavy damage. Meanwhile, the human fleet had grown larger. More ships kept arriving from deeper in their system. They were converting cargo vessels into warships. They were turning passenger ships into fighters. Every human who could fly was joining the battle. "Sir, we are receiving damage reports from all ships," his communications officer said. "Casualties are heavy. Several captains are requesting permission to withdraw." Zethkar looked at the display again. His remaining ships were all damaged. The humans had lost more vessels, but they kept fighting with whatever they had left. They showed no signs of giving up for the first time in his military career. Commander Zethkar gave an order he had never given before. "All ships retreat. Fall back to minimum safe distance." As his battered fleet limped away from Earth, Zethkar stared at the blue planet with new understanding. These humans were not like any species he had encountered. They did not know when they were beaten. They did not understand the concept of hopeless odds. They were dangerous in a way that had nothing to do with technology or numbers. They simply refused to lose. Commander Zethkar's ship, Void Ripper, limped through space toward Dominax Prime, the capital world of the galactic hegemony. The journey took 12 days. Every day, Zethkar looked at the damage reports and felt sick. His proud battle cruiser looked like it had been through a meat grinder. Burn marks covered the hull. 3 entire decks were sealed off because they had no atmosphere left. The engine room still sparked with broken equipment. His crew was quiet and nervous. They kept looking at each other with worried eyes. They had never been defeated before. None of them knew how to handle it. Zethkar did not know either, but he was their commander. He had to stay strong and figure out what to do next. The worst part was the recordings. Every hegemony ship automatically recorded all battles for later study. Zethkar had watched the recordings of the Earth battle dozens of times. Each time, he saw the same impossible things. Humans continuing to fight when they should have died. Human ships ramming his vessels when their weapons failed. Human soldiers boarding his cruisers with basic tools and winning. He needed to warn the High Council. The humans were not like other species. They were dangerous in ways the hegemony had never encountered. If the hegemony tried to conquer Earth, again with normal tactics, they would lose even more ship stock when his ship finally reached Dominax Prime. Zethkar immediately requested an emergency meeting with the High Council. The request was denied. He was told to file a standard battle report and wait for orders. Zethkar filed the report, but he also kept sending urgent messages. After 3 days, he finally received permission to address the council. The council chamber was a massive crystal dome in the center of Dominax Prime's capital city. 5 different species ruled the galactic hegemony together. They sat on elevated platforms around the chamber. Looking down at whoever came to speak, Council Prime Valtinus was an insectoid being as tall as 3 humans. Her 6 eyes glowed with intelligence, but also with impatience. She had ruled the council for over 50 years and had heard thousands of battle reports. To her, this was just another meeting. Council member Raxon represented the reptilian Sorok species. His scales were deep green, and his teeth were sharp. He was known for his quick temper and his hatred of failure. He looked at Zethkar like he wanted to eat him. War Chief Gorth Ek was from the warrior species called the Kravok. He was covered in thick fur and had claws instead of fingers. The Kravok had joined the hegemony 50 years ago and now provided most of the Empire's ground forces. Gorth Ek believed that any problem could be solved with enough violence. Council member Thexara was from an aquatic species. She lived in a water-filled tank and spoke through a translation device. Her people were master engineers who built most of the hegemony's ships and weapons. The 5th member was Quintal, whose species looked almost human, but had gray skin and no hair. They were the psychologists and strategists of the hegemony. They studied other species and found their weaknesses. Zethkar stood in the center of the chamber and began his report. He explained how his fleet had approached Earth expecting an easy conquest. He described the human response and their impossible fighting tactics. He showed the battle recordings on the chamber's main display. The humans did not fight like any species we have encountered, Zethkar said. When their ships were damaged beyond repair, they used them as weapons. When they were outnumbered 10 to 1, they attacked instead of retreating. They seemed to become more dangerous as the battle continued, not less. Council Prime Valtinus watched the recordings with her 6 eyes, but her expression showed doubt. "These recordings must be corrupted," she said. "No species fights like this. It is not logical. It is not possible." "I was there," Zethkar insisted. "I saw it happen. The humans do not think like us. They do not calculate odds before fighting. They just fight until they win or die." War Chief Gorthik made a growling sound that meant amusement among his people. "You are describing warriors," he said. "My people are warriors too. But even we know when to retreat. These humans sound like they are insane." "Maybe that is exactly what makes them dangerous," Zethkar replied. "They are unpredictable. Our battle computers cannot calculate their responses because their responses do not make sense." Council member Raxon's scales changed color to dark red which meant anger. "You are making excuses for your failure," he hissed. "You had 12 ships against primitives who barely have spaceflight. You should have destroyed them in 1 hour. Instead, you came back defeated and broken. Look at the recordings," Sethkar begged. "See what I saw." The humans turned cargo ships into warships. During the battle, they converted passenger vessels into fighters. Every human who could fly joined the fight. They have no formal military structure, but they fought like a perfect team. Quintal, the psychologist, studied the recordings more carefully than the High. Others. "Interesting," he said in his quiet voice. "These humans show remarkable unity. Most species have different groups that compete with each other. But these humans seem to work together naturally." "They do more than work together," Sethkar said. "They inspire each other. When one human ship rammed my destroyer, the other humans did not become afraid. They became more determined. It was like watching a fire spread through their entire fleet." Council member Thex Ara spoke from her water tank. "Your battle recordings show that human technology is indeed primitive. Their weapons are weak, their ships are small, but they appear to be very good at modifying their equipment quickly. They adapted to our tactics during the battle." "Exactly," Sethkar said, feeling hope that someone was listening. "The humans learn fast. They took damage from our plasma cannons and immediately changed their shield frequencies to resist them better. They saw our ship's weak points and targeted them with suicide attacks. By the end of the battle, they were fighting like they had studied us for years." Council Prime Veltinus made a dismissive gesture with one of her arms. "You are asking us to believe that a primitive species defeated advanced hegemony forces through pure determination. This is fantasy, not military analysis." "I am asking you to believe the evidence," Sethkar replied. "Send another fleet to Earth if you want, but send a much larger fleet, and warn the commanders that normal tactics will not work against humans." "War Chief." Gorthek laughed, a sound like stones grinding together. "Perhaps we should promote these humans to council members, since they are so impressive," he said sarcastically. "Or maybe you just need better training, Commander." The other council members joined in the laughter. Only Quintal remained quiet. Still studying the battle recordings. Council, Prime Veltanus made her decision. "Commander Sethkar, your battle report is noted. However, the Council finds your conclusions unacceptable. No primitive species has ever defeated a hegemony fleet. Your failure was due to tactical errors, not enemy superiority." "You are wrong," Sethkar said desperately. "The humans are not like other species. They will not surrender. They will not negotiate. They will fight until they win or until every last one of them is dead." Rexon's scales turned darker red. "Your tone is inappropriate, Commander. You forget your place." "I forget nothing," Sethkar replied. "I remember everything. I remember watching human fighters continue to attack while they were on fire. I remember human soldiers cutting through our ship hulls with basic tools. I remember humans who fought harder when things got worse, not easier." The council members looked at each other. They were clearly becoming annoyed with his persistence. "Council." Prime Veltanus made her final judgment. "Commander Sethkar, you are hereby reassigned to monitoring duties at Station 12 on the frontier. General Krexmore will lead the Second Armada to Earth to complete the conquest you failed to achieve." Sethkar felt cold inside. Station 12 was a punishment assignment. It was a small outpost that watched empty space far from any important worlds. They were sending him away so he could not bother them with more warnings about the humans. "The Second Armada has 500 ships," Veltanus continued. "Surely that will be sufficient to handle these remarkable humans you described." As Sethkar left the council chamber, he knew he had failed completely. The hegemony was about to make the biggest mistake in its history. They were going to attack Earth with overwhelming force, but they still did not understand what humans really were. He had fought humans, lived to tell about it, and no one believed him. The galaxy was about to learn the truth the hard way. Admiral Linda Carter stood in the war room deep beneath Earth's surface. The room was filled with screens showing star maps, ship positions, and battle plans. Officers from many different countries worked together at computer stations. The attack by Zethkar's fleet had changed everything. Earth was no longer safe, and everyone knew it. The alien fleet that attacked us was just a small scouting force, Carter said to the assembled military leaders. Our intelligence suggests they have much larger fleets. We cannot win a direct war against an entire galactic empire. General Rick Stone, commander of Earth's ground forces, studied the tactical displays. And we don't fight a direct war, he said. We fight smart. We use every advantage we have. Captain Jake Morrison, whose ship had led the defense against Zethkar, looked tired but determined. His ship, Terra's Shield, was being repaired in orbit, but he was already planning the next battle. What advantages do we have against an empire that controls hundreds of worlds? Dr. Helen Shaw, Earth's top scientist, spoke up from her workstation. We have captured alien technology from the ships we destroyed. I've been studying their weapons and engines. Their technology is more advanced than ours, but it's also standardized. They use the same designs across their entire fleet. What does that mean for us? Carter asked. It means they think in patterns, Shaw explained. They expect certain responses to certain attacks, but we don't follow their patterns. We improvise. We adapt. We do things they don't expect. Carter nodded. She had seen this during the battle. The aliens had been confused by human tactics that made no sense according to their military doctrines. So we use their expectations against them. Exactly, Shaw said. But we need more than just different tactics. We need allies. The alien empire rules through fear and force. There must be species that would rebel if they had help. This was the beginning of what historians would later call the Terran Doctrine. Instead of trying to match the hegemony's military power, humans would do what they did best. They would make friends, share technology, and inspire others to fight for freedom. Captain Morrison volunteered to lead the first mission beyond Earth's solar system. His ship, now repaired and upgraded with captured alien technology, would search for potential allies among the hegemony's subjects. The journey to the nearest alien system took 3 weeks. Morrison's crew included specialists from many different fields. Commander Susan Walsh was an expert in alien languages and cultures. Lieutenant Colonel Amy Foster commanded the ship's Marines. Engineer Paul Davis had helped design the new hybrid human-alien technology that powered their ship. Their first stop was a mining system controlled by a species called the Zephyrians. The Zephyrians looked like tall humans with blue skin and 4 arms. They mined rare metals for the hegemony and received almost nothing in return. Their worlds were polluted and their people were poor. Morrison's ship approached the main Zephyrian station carefully. They broadcast messages of peace in the Zephyrian language that Commander Walsh had learned from captured alien databases. We are humans from Earth. We want to talk, not fight. The Zephyrian response was suspicious. Humans? We have never heard of your species. Why should we trust you? Because we fought the hegemony and won, Morrison replied. We think you might want to do the same. The Zephyrian leader, whose name was Kethran, agreed to meet with the humans. He was old and tired, with scars on his arms from years of dangerous mining work. The hegemony is too powerful, he said sadly. We cannot fight them. They have warships. We have only mining equipment. Morrison showed him recordings of the battle at Earth. Kethran watched with growing amazement as human ships defeated the much larger hegemony fleet. How is this possible? He asked. We didn't try to match their strength, Morrison explained. We used our advantages. You have advantages, too. You know the mining tunnels better than any hegemony soldier. You understand the equipment better than their engineers. You just need to think differently about fighting. More importantly, Morrison offered something the hegemony never had. If you help us, we will share our technology with you, not as rulers over subjects, but as partners. We will help you clean your polluted worlds and build better lives for your people. Kethron was quiet for a long time. Finally, he spoke. The hegemony has ruled us for 40 years. In all that time, no one has ever offered to help us. They only take from us. You offer to give to us. Why? Because that's what friends do, Morrison said simply. The Zephyrians became humanity's first alien allies. They provided detailed maps of hegemony supply routes and information about other oppressed species. In return, humans shared water purification technology that began healing the Zephyrian worlds. The next species humans contacted were the Depths Dwellers, an aquatic people whose ocean worlds had been invaded by hegemony forces. Lieutenant Colonel Foster led a team of human marines to help them resist the occupation. The hegemony had expected the Depths Dwellers to surrender quickly. After all, they were peaceful farmers and fishers, not warriors. But when human marines showed them how to fight guerrilla warfare in their own oceans, everything changed. Foster taught them how to use their knowledge of underwater currents and hidden caves to attack hegemony bases. The humans provided weapons that worked underwater and helped the Depths Dwellers coordinate their attacks. Within 2 months, the hegemony forces on the Depths worlds were forced to retreat. They had lost too many ships and soldiers to continue the occupation. The Depths Dwellers had won their freedom. News of these victories spread quickly through the galaxy. Other oppressed species began to hope that rebellion was possible. Some sent secret messages to Earth asking for help. Others began planning their own uprisings. Meanwhile, Dr. Shaw was working with captured alien technology to give humans new advantages. She discovered that hegemony ships used a standard type of shield generator. All their vessels had the same basic design with minor variations. Shaw developed weapons specifically designed to overload these shield generators. She also created new types of armor that could resist hegemony plasma weapons. Most importantly, she figured out how to modify human ships to be faster and more maneuverable than anything in the hegemony fleet. But the real breakthrough came when Shaw learned how to combine human technology with alien science. Human computers were more flexible than alien systems. Human engines were more efficient. Human weapons were more adaptable. By combining the best of both technologies, Shaw created ships that were superior to anything either species could build alone. These hybrid vessels became the backbone of what was now being called the Human Allied Fleet. Captain Tony Rodriguez commanded one of these new ships when he encountered a hegemony supply convoy. The convoy consisted of 12 cargo ships protected by 4 warships. Normally, this would be too much for a single human vessel to handle, but Rodriguez's ship was not normal. It was faster than the hegemony warships and could change direction more quickly. Its weapons could penetrate hegemony shields with ease. Most importantly, Rodriguez and his crew thought like humans, not like hegemony officers. Instead of attacking the warships directly, Rodriguez targeted the cargo vessels first. The hegemony escorts tried to protect them, but they could not match the human ship's speed and agility. Rodriguez destroyed half the supply convoy before the warships could even get close to him. The surviving hegemony ships retreated, leaving their cargo behind. Rodriguez's crew captured valuable supplies and equipment that were then shared with human allies throughout the galaxy. Similar raids were happening in dozens of star systems. Human ships, often crewed by mixed human-alien teams, were disrupting. Hegemony operations everywhere. The Empire's supply lines were breaking down. Their client species were rebelling. Their military forces were spread too thin to handle all the problems. General Crexmore, commander of the Second Armada, received reports of these attacks while his massive fleet traveled toward Earth. 500 of the hegemony's best warships were under his command. He was confident that this force could crush any resistance. But Crexmore was making the same mistake the High Council had made. He thought the humans were just another primitive species that could be defeated with overwhelming force. He did not understand that humans had spent months preparing for his arrival. When the Second Armada finally reached Earth's solar system, they found something no hegemony commander had ever seen before. Earth was defended not just by human ships, but by vessels from dozens of different species. The Zephyrians had sent mining ships converted into warships. The Depths Dwellers had provided fast attack craft designed for underwater combat, but modified for space. Other allied species had contributed whatever they could. More importantly, the entire defense fleet was equipped with hybrid human-alien technology that was superior to anything in Crexmore's armada. The defenders had better weapons, stronger shields, and more advanced sensors. But the greatest advantage the defenders had was something that could not be measured by any scanner or computer. They were fighting for freedom, not conquest. They were protecting their homes, not expanding an empire. They were inspired by the human example of never giving up, no matter how impossible the odds seemed. General Crexmore stared at his tactical display in disbelief. His Second Armada of 500 warships faced what looked like the largest military alliance in galactic history. Ships from dozens of different species surrounded Earth in defensive formations. Human vessels flew alongside Zephyrian mining ships converted to warships. Depths Dwellers' attack craft moved in perfect formation with alien species he had never seen before. "Sir, we are detecting over 800 enemy vessels," his tactical officer reported with a shaky voice. "Their technology appears to be hybrid designs we have never encountered." Crexmore was a veteran commander who had conquered 23 worlds for the hegemony. He had never seen anything like this. The standard hegemony approach was simple. Arrive with overwhelming force, demand surrender, destroy resistance, and occupy the planet. But Earth had turned the galaxy upside down. "Open communications with the human fleet," Crexmore ordered. He would try the traditional surrender demand, even though he suspected it would not work. Admiral Carter's voice came through the speakers, calm and confident. "This is Admiral Linda Carter of the Galactic Commonwealth Defense Fleet. You are entering sovereign space without permission. Leave now and no harm will come to your forces." Galactic Commonwealth? Crexmore had never heard this term before. "I am General Crexmore of the Hegemony Second Armada. You will surrender immediately or face complete destruction." "We tried that conversation before," Carter replied. "It didn't work out well for your people. This is your last warning. Withdraw your forces." Crexmore cut the communication and turned to his staff. "Commonwealth? What are these humans talking about?" His intelligence officer pulled up recent reports from across the galaxy. "Sir, it appears the humans have been forming alliances with our client species. They call it the Galactic Commonwealth. Over 40 species have already joined." "Impossible," Crexmore said. "Client species do not rebel. They are too weak and too afraid." "The reports suggest otherwise, sir. Rebellions are happening in dozens of systems. Our supply lines are being attacked constantly. Several entire sectors have declared independence." Crexmore realized that the humans had done something the hegemony thought was impossible. They had turned subjects into allies and slaves into soldiers. But he still had 500 of the most advanced warships in the galaxy. That had to be enough. "All ships advance and engage the enemy," he commanded. the Second Armada moved forward in perfect formation. Their ships were larger and more heavily armed than anything in the Commonwealth fleet. Their weapons were more powerful, and their shields were stronger. On paper, this should be an easy victory. The battle began when the Hegemony fleet entered weapons range. Crexmore expected the Commonwealth forces to stay in defensive positions around Earth. Instead, they immediately attacked. Commonwealth ships moved in ways that confused Hegemony tactical computers. Human vessels would suddenly change direction. Without warning, Zephyrian ships used mining equipment as weapons in ways no military manual had ever described. Depths Dweller craft moved through space like they were swimming through water. "Sir, the enemy is not following standard battle formations," his tactical officer reported with growing panic. "Our computers cannot predict their movements." Crexmore watched as a small human ship commanded by Captain Rodriguez flew straight through his battle line, firing at multiple targets before any of the ships could respond. The human vessel was too fast and too unpredictable for his weapons officers to target effectively, but the real shock came when the Commonwealth forces began using tactics that made no military sense. Damaged ships did not retreat for repairs. Instead, they moved to protect healthy vessels. Ships that ran out of ammunition did not withdraw. They used themselves as shields or as ramming weapons. "They are fighting like the first human fleet," Crexmore muttered, remembering the reports from Zethkar's battle. "They do not care about their own survival." A Commonwealth ship exploded near Crexmore's flagship, but its destruction somehow inspired the other Commonwealth vessels to fight harder. The human admiral's voice came over all frequencies, reaching every ship in both fleets. "This is Admiral Carter to all Commonwealth forces," she said. "Today we fight not just for Earth, but for freedom itself. Every species in this fleet chose to be here. No one was forced. No one was conquered. We stand together as equals, and together we will win." The effect on the Commonwealth fleet was immediate. Ships that had been fighting well began fighting with desperate courage. Alien crews who had never worked together before moved like they had trained together for years. The entire fleet seemed to become one unified force. Crexmore's ships began taking heavy damage. His advanced weapons could not hit targets that moved so unpredictably. His superior numbers meant nothing when the enemy refused to stay in formation. His tactical advantages disappeared when the Commonwealth forces ignored every rule of space. "Combat. Sir, we have lost 37 ships," his tactical officer reported. "The enemy has lost over 100 vessels, but they are still attacking." "How is this possible?" Crexmore demanded. "They should have retreated by now." The answer came from an unexpected source. A transmission reached the Hegemony fleet from the direction of Dominax Prime. It was Commander Zethkar, speaking from his exile at Station 12. "General Crexmore, this is Commander Zethkar. I tried to warn the Council about the humans. They do not fight like other species. They do not retreat when they are losing. They become more dangerous when things get worse. Commander, you are not authorized to contact this fleet," Crexmore replied angrily. "I am trying to save your lives," Zethkar said. "The humans cannot be defeated with conventional tactics. They will fight until every last one of them is dead, and they will take as many of your ships with them as they can." Before Crexmore could respond, his communications officer reported something that changed everything. "Sir, we are receiving signals from Hegemony client species throughout the capital sector. They are declaring independence and joining the Commonwealth." "What?" Crexmore could not believe what he was hearing. The Trilaxians have seized control of their orbital stations. The Aquatic Collective has expelled all Hegemony forces from their worlds. Even some Hegemony member species are questioning their loyalty to the Empire. The battle around Earth had become more than just a military engagement. It had become a symbol that inspired oppressed beings across the galaxy. The sight of humans and aliens fighting together as equals was spreading hope to species that had given up on freedom long ago. Crexmore realized his fleet was trapped. Even if he won this battle, he would return to find the hegemony collapsing from within. The humans had not just defeated his ships. They had defeated the idea that conquest was stronger than cooperation. "Sir, Admiral Carter is requesting communication," his officer reported. Crexmore accepted the call, expecting another demand for surrender. "General," Carter said, "your empire is falling apart. Your client species are rebelling across the galaxy. Your own people are questioning whether the hegemony represents their values. You can continue this battle and lose more ships, or you can help us build something better. What are you offering?" Crexmore asked. "Join the Commonwealth. Help us create a galaxy where species work together instead of conquering each other. Your people have skills and knowledge that could benefit everyone. We do not want to destroy the hegemony. We want to transform it." Crexmore looked at his tactical display. His fleet was losing the battle despite having superior technology and numbers. His empire was collapsing behind him. And these humans were offering him a chance to be part of something new instead of being destroyed. For the first time in hegemony history, a general ordered his fleet to stand down without achieving victory. The transformation of the galaxy took several years. The old hegemony dissolved as species after species joined the Commonwealth. Some hegemony leaders fought to the end, but most realized that cooperation was more profitable than conquest. Commander Zethkar was invited to Earth to help establish the new Commonwealth military. Admiral Carter met him personally at the space station above Earth. "You tried to warn them," she said, reviewing his old reports to the Hegemony Council. "You were the only one who understood what we represented." Zethkar accepted a position as an instructor at the new Commonwealth Naval Academy. His first lesson to mixed human-alien classes was always the same. "I fought humans and lived to tell about it," he would say. "No one believed my warnings, and because of that, the galaxy changed forever. The lesson is this: never underestimate a species that refuses to give up, and never underestimate the power of treating others as equals instead of subjects." Years later, Zethkar would write in his memoirs, "The humans did not conquer us. They inspired us. They showed us that there was a better way to live together among the stars. I am proud to have been wrong about them being a threat. They were not a threat to civilization. They were civilization's greatest hope." The Commonwealth grew to include over 200 species, all working together as partners rather than rulers and subjects. And at its heart were the humans who had refused to surrender, who had turned enemies into friends, and who had proven that determination and hope were stronger than any weapon the galaxy had ever seen.